Hey Hannah, you know how like in movies art heists are always so dramatic and, super slick?
Oh, totally. Like Ocean's 11, but for masterpieces. Very Thomas Crown affair, right?
Exactly. But the thing is, real art heists are often way crazier and sometimes, honestly, a lot clumsier, but equally totally captivating,
Ooh, I love that. Like, what's the biggest one that just, pops into your head when you think about these kinds of audacious plans?
Okay, so you want to talk about audacious? You have to start with the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist. Like, absolutely the biggest unsolved art theft ever. March 18th, 1990 in Boston. Two guys, they dress up as police officers, right? They con their way in, they tie up the guards.
Wait, they conned their way in? No lasers? No climbing through vents?
Nope, just uniforms. And in 81 minutes, Hannah, they walk out with 13 artworks, estimated at $500 million. We're talking Vermeer, Rembrandt, Manet, Degas, and get this, the empty frames are still hanging there. It's a really poignant reminder, A $10 million reward is still out there.
Wow, that's insane. Empty frames. That's really haunting. That Gardner heist, it sounds like something out of a movie already. But then you mentioned the empty frames. That's really adds a layer of mystery. Are there any other really famous ones that just totally captivated the world?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't talk about art heists without talking about the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa was stolen, can you even believe it? In 1911.
What? No way! From the Louvre? How does someone even do that?
Yeah, from the Louvre. And it was Vincenzo Perugia, an Italian handyman who actually worked there. He literally just hid it under his clothes and walked out. Can you imagine?
No, that's so low-tech.
Right? And his motive wasn't even money, really. He genuinely thought Napoleon had stolen it from Italy, so he was trying to return it. Misguided patriotism, But it made the Mona Lisa globally famous when it was recovered 2 years later.
Wow, that's quite a story. So, has any other piece been stolen multiple times? Is there a most stolen artwork?
Funny you ask. There is. The Ghent altarpiece. It's been stolen 7 times.
7? That's wild.
Yeah, one panel, The Just Judges from 1934, is still missing. And then the Nazis during World War II, they seriously tried to make it the centerpiece for Hitler's planned museum. That whole story inspired the Monuments Men, actually.
7 times for the Ghent altarpiece? That's just wild. It's almost like it wants to be stolen, What about more dramatic, almost movie-like heists with actual action sequences?
Oh, we got those, for sure. Think about Canada's largest art heist. This was in 1972, Montreal Museum of Fine Arts. These thieves, they broke in through a rooftop skylight.
No way! Like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible?
Kind of. They slid down a rope, tied up the guards, all in 30 minutes, and made off with 18 paintings, including Rembrandt and Rubens, plus 39 pieces of jewelry, valued at $2 million then, probably $20 million now. Still unsolved, too. Just gone.
That's incredible. Okay, what about an actual escape vehicle? Something really, high speed.
You want high speed? Sweden delivered. The Swedish speedboat heist in 2000. Armed thieves stormed Sweden's National Museum in Stockholm, took guards hostage, grabbed a Rembrandt self-portrait and 2 Renoirs, worth $45 million. And their escape? They had a speedboat waiting right outside the museum.
A speedboat? That's definitely movie level.
Yeah, and they even set cars on fire and put spikes on the roads to stop pursuit. They really thought of everything for the escape. The paintings were eventually recovered over the next decade, which is good. but wow, just a whole lot of drama.
Okay, a speedboat? That's just next level. But going back to art that seems to attract trouble, you said the Ghent altarpiece was stolen 7 times? Has anything else been a repeat target?
You know, actually, one of the most iconic paintings ever, The Scream by Edvard Munch, has been stolen twice.
What? Seriously? How do you steal something that recognizable, let alone twice?
Right? So the first time was in 1994 from the National Gallery in Oslo on the very opening day of the Winter Olympics. They just broke a window and left a note saying, "1,000 thanks for the bad security."
Oh my gosh, that's so cheeky.
Yeah, it was recovered a few months later. Then another version was stolen from the Munich Museum in 2004, and that was recovered in 2006. So yeah, The Scream has seen some things.
That's wild. What about Van Gogh? His work is so famous, I can imagine that being a huge target.
Oh, absolutely. The Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. In 1991, they had a really bold theft where 20 paintings, including the potato eaters and sunflowers, were taken, valued at $500 million.
No way! That's massive.
Fortunately, those were recovered pretty quickly from an abandoned getaway vehicle. But then in 2002, 2 more Van Goghs were stolen from the same museum. Congregation Leaving the Reformed Church in Nuenen and View of the Sea at Scheveningen. They were recovered in 2016. So yeah, definitely a target.
It's so interesting how some of these stories are even more dramatic than the movies they inspire. So speaking of movies, how do real-life heists really stack up against, Hollywood versions?
That's a great question, because movies, obviously, they embellish a lot, right? Like the Thomas Crown affair, it's all super sophisticated, high-tech, gentleman thieves. But in reality, like we talked about with the Gardner heist, sometimes it's surprisingly simple methods, like just posing as police officers. Many real thieves are actually pretty amateur.
So not always these super geniuses then?
No, not always. And the motives are also really different sometimes. In movies, it's usually just money or the thrill, right? But Vincenzo Perugia, who stole the Mona Lisa, he genuinely believed he was doing a patriotic duty. Or Kempton Bunton from the film The Duke, he stole Goya's portrait to ransom it and get TV licenses for the elderly. Totally different.
That's so wholesome, actually. What about getting the art back? In movies, it always seems to get recovered. Is that, true?
No, not really, unfortunately. That's a big difference. So many significant artworks are still unrecovered, like the majority of pieces from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. The empty frames, again, they're a constant reminder. It's not always a happy ending like in the films.
Yeah, the empty frames, that's such a poignant detail, for sure. It makes me wonder, if security systems in real life are just, not as amazing as they appear in films.
Absolutely. Movies show these impenetrable fortresses, right? But real-life heists, they often exploit really basic security flaws or just human error, like that 1994 Scream theft, where they just broke a window and left a note about bad security.
Oh, so the inside man trope? That's actually based in reality.
Totally. It's a common movie trope, but it has roots. Perugia was an employee, obviously, and reportedly, the 1991 Van Gogh Museum heist, one of the security guards was apparently in on it. So that's definitely a real thing.
Wow. So some of these movies actually are pretty accurate then.
Well, yeah. The Monuments Men, for example, is loosely based on the recovery of art looted by Nazis, including the Ghent altarpiece. There's a Mexican film called Museo about a 1985 theft of artifacts. And that Netflix doc, This Is a Robbery, it's all about the Gardner heist. So they do draw a lot from truth.
That's so cool. It just goes to show that real life is often stranger and way more fascinating than fiction, especially with art heists.
Totally. It's a blend of audacity, cleverness, and sometimes, honestly, just shocking simplicity.
That's so true, Iotama. And speaking of movie tropes, there's one that always makes me chuckle. The funny mask. You know, like clown masks or exaggerated politician faces. Is that like an actual thing in real art heists, or is that just pure Hollywood invention?
Oh, that's a classic. And honestly, for the most part, that's definitely more Hollywood. While robbers do wear masks, obviously, for anonymity, it's usually practical stuff. Balaclavas, ski masks, simple fabric. You rarely see someone rocking like a full, elaborate clown getup for an actual art heist.
So no like dolly masks a la Money Heist or the creepy animal ones? That's a shame in a way. It adds a certain theatrical flair.
Exactly. The theatrical flair is precisely why movies use them. In reality, it's about blending in, not drawing more attention. The less memorable the disguise, the better. Though I have to say, those police uniforms in the Gardner heist were pretty effective. Just not funny masks.
Right, totally. So it's less about the grand dramatic reveal and more about just, getting the job done anonymously.
Pretty much. Real art thieves are usually more concerned with practicality than making a stylistic statement, which I guess makes sense when you're stealing $500 million worth of art.
So we've talked a lot about thieves getting away, but what about the flip side? Have museums ever, actually managed to trap or catch robbers in the act?
Oh, absolutely. While many heists are unsolved, museums aren't just passive targets. Their security systems, sometimes unintentionally, act as pretty effective traps.
Really? Has anyone been caught inside? Or cornered because of the museum's security?
Yeah, sometimes. Like the case in 2012 at the Rotterdam Kunsthal. Thieves broke in, took 7 masterpieces, but the alarm system was so sophisticated, it triggered an immediate police response. They weren't caught inside, but the quick alert was crucial for the eventual recovery, and it definitely didn't allow them a clean getaway.
So the museum didn't physically trap them, but the security response was so fast, it essentially cornered them into a hurried escape, raising the chances of eventual recovery?
Exactly. It's less about a literal net and more about the network of security closing in. Modern cameras and rapid response teams are always watching, making it much harder to just walk out unnoticed.
Ah, now we're getting to the good stuff. While the human element and quick response are crucial, modern museums absolutely employ some seriously sophisticated technology. Think less tripwire in a dusty corridor and more invisible, layered force field around priceless art.
Invisible force field? That's incredible. So, are these the kinds of systems that detect, minute changes in air pressure or just movement but super sensitively?
Precisely. Beyond the obvious high-definition CCTV, you're looking at complex infrared laser grids you can't even see. Motion detectors sophisticated enough to differentiate between a rodent and a person, and pressure plates under flooring. We're also talking vibration sensors in walls, designed to detect any attempt to bore or cut through. It's an entire ecosystem of prevention.
Wow, so it's not just a single beam you can duck under. It's a whole, multi-layered defense system. So much for just sneaking in through a vent then.
Exactly. And some even integrate AI for pattern recognition, flagging anything truly unusual in real time. It makes a simple walkout or window break almost impossible without immediate, highly accurate alerts. It's a constant arms race against an increasingly clever and sometimes surprisingly low-tech thief.
Speaking of modern defenses, some museums are doing utterly bizarre yet brilliant upgrades that go way beyond simple tech, right?
Beyond laser grids and motion sensors? I'm listening. What kind of wild ideas are we talking about?
Okay, picture this. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. Those empty frames? Some proposals suggest using hyper-realistic holograms or augmented reality. You'd hold up your phone and poof, the missing Vermeer or Rembrandt appears right there in its empty spot.
Wow, that's incredibly poignant. Not just covering up the loss, but actively bringing the memory of the art and its absence to life with cutting-edge tech. What a powerful statement.
Right. It acknowledges the theft, keeps the conversation going, and, in a way, keeps the hope of recovery alive by continuously visualizing what's lost. It enhances experience, memory, and public engagement in the search.
That's a brilliant blend of remembrance and futuristic tech. The museum itself is saying, we haven't forgotten, and neither should you.
That idea of visualizing what's lost, like the holograms for the Gardner Museum's empty frames, it actually sparks a super interesting, almost philosophical question for me about these art heists.
Oh? Like beyond recovery? What's on your mind?
Well, you know how in some other types of robberies, or even in fiction, there's sometimes this idea that a thief might leave something behind, like a calling card or even a replacement item? Does that ever happen with art heists? Do robbers replace what they take?
Replace a Rembrandt with what? A really good forgery, maybe? Or just like a sorry for your loss note? That sounds absolutely wild, Iotama.
Right? And that's exactly it. For all the dramatic flair and sometimes even bizarre motives we've discussed, the concept of a real art thief actually replacing a stolen masterpiece with something else is pretty much unheard of.
Yeah, I guess it just doesn't align with the motive. Whether it's for profit or a misguided cause, the goal is always to take, not to give back or substitute. The